That is a grotesque image. Hello everyone, and you are very welcome back to another video. My name is Amy, I'm a musician, I play guitar and I sing, and I make videos that consist mostly of cover songs, guitar content, vlogs, and I also just enjoy talking about music related things and or Irish things depending on the video. And today, in the spirit of the season, since it's Halloween, I am going to be talking about 5 creepy creatures from Irish folklore. Last year for Halloween, I did a video where I talked about 5 haunted locations in Ireland. I had so much fun putting that video together, and so I wanted to do something similar this year for the spooky season. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to explore more haunted locations or instead look into some creepy creatures from Irish folklore, so I decided to put it to you. A little while ago, I did a poll over on my community tab asking you which one you'd prefer, and creepy creatures won the vote. So here we are. Thank you all so much to anyone who took a quick second to vote. I really appreciate the feedback, and I hope you are as excited as I am for this video. And just like I said last year, the same goes for this video. This is not a debate about whether these things are real or not real. You can believe whatever you want. But we're just having a bit of fun on Halloween, as if we're all sitting around a campfire telling each other ghost stories, trying to give each other the scaries. I have scoured the internet for what I think are 5 pretty creepy creatures from Irish folklore and from Irish mythology, and if you watch to the very end of this video and you behave yourself in the meantime, I may tell you about a creepy experience that I had when I was a child with what I still don't know to this day. It could have possibly been one of the creatures on this list. Before we get into the first creature, I just want to quickly remind you to please hit the like button if you wouldn't mind, and subscribe if you haven't already. Doing those 2 really quick things help me out more than you know, so I would really appreciate it if you could do that. Like I usually say, I can't be a real musician until you do those things. And also, I have a little candle lit back here, but you actually can't see it, but it does say Iha Hauna on it, which is Irish for Halloween. I'm bummed that you can't actually see it though. I love that thing. It's like a little tea light holder. My parents got it for me. Right, without further ado, let's get into the first creature. It's okay. I know these are so creepy. I know. I'm like, let's get into the first creature, and Odie's like, Number 1, the Banshee. Also, I'm completely second guessing myself lately with how I pronounce everything. I don't know anymore. I was telling my husband about this video when I was putting it together, and I was like, yeah, I'm writing a little paragraph on the Banshee. And he was like, what's a Banshee? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you've never heard of a Banshee? And he was like, I've heard of a Banshee, but I've not heard of a Banshee. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to say it. I've noticed this for a long time, but I notice it in particular when Americans talk about Irish places, and not strictly Americans. It's just basically putting emphasis on a different part of a syllable in a word. Banshee. Banshee. And I think I say both. The example I like to use with people is post office. Most people say the post office, with the emphasis on post. But a lot of Irish people say the post office. So you put the emphasis on the post office, instead of the post office. And I feel like that's such a simple distinction in differing accents. I'm barely into this. I'm already on a tangent. Okay. Number 1, the Banshee. I'm gonna start with the one that you've probably heard of. The Banshee is arguably one of the most famous creatures from Irish mythology. A Banshee is a female spirit that can either appear as an old woman or as a young woman. If you've ever heard the phrase shrieking like a banshee or screaming like a banshee, she was shrieking like a banshee. That's where the phrase comes from. When a banshee appears, she is producing a wailing or shrieking cry, or sometimes she could be singing. Whether she's crying or singing Either way, it's lamenting and it's ominous. You do not want a banshee to appear to you because if she does, it means death is coming to someone close to you. Not necessarily to you, but someone in your family. Which I think is so interesting about the banshee. Usually we see more of something appearing to the person that the event is happening to and not someone close to them instead. The name comes from the name in Irish, which is Ban-She, which translates to woman of the fairy mound. Ban is the Irish word for woman, and Ban-She has also been translated to woman of the fairies or woman of the hills. Whatever the translation, they all suggest that the Banshee comes from a different plane that we can't see. Even today, across the Irish landscape, you will see these fairy mounds, fairy hills, fairy forts. They are quite literally dotted all over the place. They may be easily missed by some, but obvious to those who know what you're looking for. The legend of fairies in Ireland goes back a long time in folklore. Irish fairies, also known as Nadini Ella, in other words, the other people, are not fairies in the Tinkerbell sense, but actually they look like you and me. There are people today still who believe that these fairy forts are either home to the fairies or are an entrance to their realm. It's so embedded in our consciousness that farmers typically will not remove them from their land and will leave them undisturbed. Whether it's a circular hill, a single tree in the middle of a field, or specifically a hawthorn tree, anyone that has removed them, or sometimes tried to remove them, has come to have a lot of misfortune. All of this to say, it is believed that the banshee comes from the same place. Some stories even say that each family has their own specific banshee, and that the banshee only appears to families who are fully Irish. I'd kill for a full Irish right now. So families that have been born in Ireland for multiple generations or have a last name with O or Mac. Great! Apparently we have our own family banshee. Great! Can't wait. So apparently families with blended nationalities, sorry, no banshee for you. I can see the headline in the big year of 2025. Banshee cancelled for discrimination. Even though the banshee is quite creepy and actually quite terrifying if you were to imagine yourself actually seeing or hearing one, like that's quite terrifying. It's important to note that the banshee does not cause death, but rather serves as a warning. The banshee is not necessarily a bad spirit, even though she may seem like one, but her role in Irish mythology is that of a messenger. Of course, no one wants to see her since she is the deliverer of bad news, but if a person is old and nature is taking its course, she could also give the family a chance to prepare and say goodbye. Her cries echo through the night before a loved one passes away. Number 2. Puka. A puka is a cheeky little shape-shifting creature associated with this time of year, October, and the pre-Christian Irish festival of Samhain, which is where Halloween, as we know today, has its roots. I've talked about Samhain in previous videos, in my 7 Facts About Ireland video, and in my Halloween episode of Irish vs. American, where I told my American husband all about it, so do check those out if you haven't already. I will leave them linked below. The puka is creepy because we don't actually know what it looks like, and it can change its appearance. Kind of like a boggart in Harry Potter, but it doesn't change for each specific person. They are troublemakers by nature and usually take the form of an animal, often as a dog, horse, or a goat, but it can also take the shape of a human. And from what I've read, the human it takes the shape of can also have animalistic characteristics. That's an album title right there. Animalistic characteristics. Which actually is also quite terrifying if you think about it. Imagine you're talking to someone who you assume is a fellow human. They suddenly just start growling or making animal noises. It sounds funny, but with the right tone and context, It actually sounds really scary. The word puka is an Irish word, as you probably guessed, meaning ghost, spirit, or goblin. Tales of the puka are found all across Ireland, but particularly in rural areas where the mist gathers on lonely roads. I also forgot to mention that when it takes the form of the animal, so whether it's a dog, a horse, or a goat, its eyes glow. Forgot about that. That was important, so I needed to include that. It creeps me out to think of it in dog form. I love dogs so much, but there's something about a scary dog that creeps me out. Does anyone remember the Goosebumps intro from the 90s? I used to be so scared of that dog when I was a kid. I remember my mum not wanting us to watch that show because it came on one evening and the dog's eyes were glowing, and I mean, it scared me at least. I don't remember if it scared my siblings, but my mum didn't want us to watch anything that scared us, so how can a sweet little puppy look so sinister? It freaks me out. It's probably the same thing as like little girls being used in horror movies. Something in reality that's so sweet and innocent, it unnerves us even more to see it in a creepy form that we're not used to. According to Folklore, puka are little tricksters that enjoy playing tricks on people traveling along a quiet country road, leading people off the safe path to dense woods or secluded bogs. And what they do with you is kind of up to them. Like I said, they are cheeky, they're not always bad. They can be bad. They're not always good, they're not always bad. They can either bring good luck or bad luck to those they meet. And whether one gets good or bad luck is entirely dependent on what mood they're in that day and what they feel like doing. They could play a harmless prank on you, or they could lure you from your journey with a promise of fortune, only for you to lose your way and vanish into the darkness forever. They may even be impressed by your braveness to face them and actually give you that fortune. But is it worth the risk of possibly never being heard from again? So if you're ever taking a walk in the Irish countryside at night and you see a strange animal watching you from the darkness with glowing eyes that just seem a little too knowing, you might want to get home quickly because you could be looking at a puka in disguise. Number 3, Acuishka, aka the water horse. We are getting into some darker, slightly scarier stories now, so just bear that in mind. This particular creature has a few different versions across the Celtic regions. In Scotland, they have the Kelpie, and I believe the Isle of Man have their own version of this creature as well. All very similar, but with a few distinctions. Acuishka is pretty much the Irish version of a Kelpie, although it is much more sinister and vicious. I want to include this one because of the water theme, since we haven't really had anything like that. It's very different to every other creature on this list. There's something really cool to me about a haunted body of water. It's not something you really see a lot of. You know, we get haunted houses, haunted castles, haunted buildings, but there's something that I don't know, I'm kind of drawn to the idea of a haunted coastline, a haunted lakeside. I really like the idea of a misty lake at dusk. I don't know, it kind of seems like an appropriate place for a creepy being to be. The Acuishka, or also pronounced Achiski, in Ireland, that's a bit more of a colloquial version, is a ghost-like water horse that is said to haunt the coastal inlets and misty lakes of the west of Ireland. Unlike the Kelpie, which are found in rivers and streams, Acuishka can also be found in the sea. The legend tells us that it's a sleek and beautiful horse that emerges from the waters, its mane dripping and its coat glistening. It's intoxicatingly impressive and beautiful to anyone in its presence. A creature so majestic and mysterious that if you come across one, you wouldn't be able to resist approaching it and stroking its beautiful coat. A simple bait for the unwary and the curious. Upon doing so, you would realize that you have just been manipulated into being the Acuishka's next victim. As soon as your hand touches the horse, its coat becomes sticky like tar and you're unable to detach yourself. Once you're mounted on the horse, it gallops straight into the water, submerging you fully until you drown, and then it devours you, leaving nothing but your liver, which will float to the surface.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
I don't know why not the liver. I don't know, maybe the alcohol content is just too high in those Irish livers. Similar to the puka, Okieshka can also take the form of a man, and not just any man. Oh no. Think sexy thirst trap merman with water weeds in his long flowy hair and abs that you could do laundry on in 1850. It could sometimes appear in this form in order to draw the victim closer. I mean, that could actually be the actual origin of a thirst trap. So because of these folklore tales, people in Ireland and Scotland have been wary of lonesome strangers or animals along water's edges in case they are looking at a very dangerous creature. If you ever see a lone horse standing near water without a rider or a sexy merman, do not approach, however tempting. It could already be watching you. Also, specifically to the Irish version, the Okiski, according to legend, can possibly be caught and tamed by humans and actually ridden like a normal horse. Not the merman. However, this is only on the condition that they don't see the sea. As long as it's galloping in a direction away from the ocean, it could make a fine and noble steed.
All right, I hope you heard that. She called me a noble steed. She think I'm a steed.
But if it catches a glimpse of the ocean, it will immediately revert back to its original state and run back, taking the rider with them to their watery grave.
Well, so much for noble steed.
My voice is really getting tired. The vocal fry is a lot. I feel so LA with this vocal fry. Like it's crazy. Number 4, the Dullahan. The Dullahan comes from the Irish word dullachan or dovlachan, which means dark man. The Dullahan is Ireland's headless horseman. He rides a black horse with eyes that burn like embers, carrying his own head under one arm. The head having a terrifying appearance. The flesh is the color of moldy cheese. The smile twisted in a hideous grin that reaches to each side of the head. A mouth full of razor-sharp teeth and large eyes that dart around quickly and can see for miles in the dead of night. That is a grotesque image. The Dullahan rides throughout the night, the head scanning the countryside for souls about to leave their bodies. He is an omen of death, and where he stops in his tracks, someone nearby will die. He's different to the Banshee because he doesn't simply warn, he claims. He carries a whip made from human spine, raises the whip, cracks it, claiming the soul of the victim. Whoopah! While he rides, no wall, gate, door, or barrier can stop him, so don't even try. Although there is something one can do. It is said that what the Dullahan is afraid of is gold, of all things. Show it even a single coin and it will retreat in fear, for those brave enough to try that, of course. So, just like everything in this life, you'll probably be fine if you have money. And finally, number 5, Aurtach. I'm pronouncing this about 4 different ways, so forgive me, I'm trying. At this point, I've said this name so much, and I keep reverting to different pronunciations. I believe it's Aurtach, but sometimes I say Overtuck or Avertuck. It's not Overtuck because there's no fada on the A, but I don't know why I keep saying it like that, like over, like subject. If I say Overtuck, forgive me, it is Aurtach or Avertuck. Anyway, Avertuck is also known as the Irish vampire. It might not be a vampire in the way that we think of them today. However, today's depictions of vampires could have been inspired by Aurtach. I've saved this one till the very end because I don't know if it's necessarily the creepiest one on the list. I will leave that up to you to decide, so do let me know in the comments. But I saved this one till last because this one could actually be true. At least even parts of it. Everything up to this point is folklore, and like I said, we're not debating whether or not these things are real, but Aurtach, this could be real. This could be real. Maybe not all of it, but that's why it's creepy to me. Aurtach is from folklore. However, there is a burial place where he could be buried. We don't know, but that's what makes it fascinating. The Aurtach legend, The Aurtach legend dates back to County Derry in the 5th century. He was a dwarf chieftain and warlord that was cruel, practiced black magic, and terrorized the people he ruled over. Now, since it's folklore, there are many variations to the story, but what most agree on is that Aurtach was killed by a rival warrior, and his people were like, phew, finally, we can live in peace. Unfortunately, this was not the case because old Aurtach, he rose from the dead. He came back the next day. And as you can imagine, when he came back, he was kind of mad. When Aurtach came back from the dead, he was quite angry and demanded to be given blood from his people as revenge and to help him sustain his life. The warrior who killed him was like, hang on, I killed you. What are you doing here? I'm not having this because you're awful. So he kills him again. And what do you know? Aurtach comes back for the 2nd time. And I believe he comes back a 3rd time. I'm not really sure. I don't know how many times he came back since there's different varying details across different accounts. But each time he returned from the grave, he came back more angry, more powerful, and more vengeful, demanding even more blood from his people. So we can clearly see the vampiric parallels here. The warrior went to consult a druid to receive advice on how could he finish Aurtach off for good. What he learned was that Aurtach was now a knave marv, aka a walking dead. So he would need to kill the flesh with a sword made from wood from a yew tree and do something differently when he buried the body. The chieftains at this time had a specific method of burial. They used to bury the bodies of their deceased upright. So the druid instructed the warrior to slay Aurtach with the sword made from yew and then bury him upside down instead. Then he needed to cover the grave in thorns and place large and extremely heavy rocks on top of the burial site. So now there's no way he can come back, and that is how they finally defeated him. There is an actual place in Derry that apparently Aurtach is buried. Aurtach is the only creature on this list that has an actual resting place, at least we think. It's known as the Sláthbhirtí Dolmen, and a large stone can be seen right next to a singular tree. I don't know if the Sláthbhirtí, I have no idea, so apologies if I'm saying it wrong. I don't know why, but it reminds me of Colm from Derry Girls. I can just picture him saying it. Aye, the pale fella up in Sláthbhirtí, the fella with the pointy teeth, sure wasn't he a first cousin of Maureen's? And he says to me, I need a pint of blood from you right quick. This supposed burial site is located on private land, so it's not very easy to find, and it's not on any tourist maps. So you cannot actually go there, unfortunately, because you would be trespassing in someone's field. No one has uncovered the grave to know for sure, because going back to the fairy folk earlier in the video, local traditions warn us to leave these places undisturbed. Strange and eerie things have happened to people who have tried to tamper with or remove the grave or the tree next to it. Another thing that we don't know about Aurtach for sure, but many scholars believe that he was the inspiration behind Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel published in 1897. Maybe not the direct inspiration, because as we know, his Dracula was based on historical figure Vlad the Impaler. But many believe that Stoker, being an Irishman, got at least some of his inspiration a little closer to home. Okay, you have behaved yourselves up to this point. Well, actually, I don't know that for sure. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've already hit the dislike button and you've left me a nasty comment at this point. I don't know. Even if you did, thanks for the engagement anyway. But I'm gonna tell you the story of a weird experience I had as a young one that I still don't know what it was, but I promised you I'd tell it, so here we go. I've actually never told this story to anyone until recently, because it only popped back into my head while I was planning this video. It had been buried in my subconscious until now, like literally me reading about the stuff for this video to put it together is what reignited the memory, which was wild. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but if I had to guess, I was no older than 10 or 11. I was at my cousin's house visiting with my siblings, and they also live in rural County Mayo. So you're talking only a few houses on a road with grass growing in the middle of the road, but around them is largely surrounded by fields. And from their back garden, you can access the field behind. You want the blanket over you? Is that? And from their back garden, you could access the field behind the house. And playing in the field is a very normal part of a childhood in the countryside, so that's how we spent our time a lot. This particular day, we had all been playing outside, and then we were all called in to have some lunch. Now, my whole life, I've been a slow eater. I don't eat food very fast. I'm not typically a shoveler, unless it's, you know, melted chocolate or popcorn. That's different. But in terms of meals, I physically cannot eat them fast, which isn't a bad thing. I actually know it's a good thing, but it typically means that everyone's finished their food before me. So as each kid finished their food and then ran back outside to continue the shenanigans. So I was left on my own briefly, the last one to finish my food, and then I ran out the back door and into the field to catch up with the others. I remember running down this little path through the field that had been worn from people constantly using it and walking on it, so it was a foot-worn trail through the field. And as I was running, I became aware of something small in the grass to my left. I'm running, but I slow down slightly because I do notice something over here. Now, whether or not I actually saw something, I'm not sure. That's the only part of this story that I can't distinguish between memory or my brain and my imagination filling it in after the fact. So I can't say for sure if I actually saw something rustle in the grass. I don't know. However, I 100% definitely heard something. And what I heard was a laugh. It wasn't a normal grown-up laugh. It wasn't a kid laugh. It wasn't a laugh that I recognized. It was a cliche, stereotypical, if I tell you right now to think of how does a leprechaun laugh, that's exactly what it sounded like. Like, it wasn't an adult, it wasn't a kid, it was a mischievous little cheeky laugh that came in front of me from the grass. I can still picture the scene. There was definitely no one there. It wasn't my brother hiding, trying to scare me, because that did cross my mind at the time. Like, is my brother in the bushes or something? But the sound came from on the ground, in the grass. It sounds so ridiculous, but that's what I heard. I got such a fright that I picked up speed and I bolted through the field to go catch up with the others. It genuinely scared me, and my body chose the flight response. I know it sounds like I'm fibbing or lying to make this video sound more interesting, but I promise you I'm not. I really did experience that, and I think that this video is interesting enough that I don't need to add anything. I'm not saying I know what it was, because I don't. It might have been one of those motion sensor toys that was just left there, and as I ran past it, it set it off. Or maybe my brother or one of my cousins pranked me and they just never told me. Or maybe it was a puka, I don't know. I don't know for sure. It doesn't really make a difference to my life. So if you don't believe me, that's fine.
I know my truth.
Did you say I know my truth? Oh boy.
I don't really care. I just thought it would be fun to add in to this video, since it quite literally reminded me of this story. So I thought you'd enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Halloween to those of you who celebrate. And do check out some of my previous Halloween videos if you would like to. Like I said, I've have them linked all below. I really do hope you enjoyed watching this one. I actually learned a lot from all the reading I did for this video. There were some things that I didn't know about, so I learned some new things as well today too. I know I do mainly music content here, but I really do love doing videos like this about something to do with Ireland every now and then. Oral tradition is such a deep part of Irish culture and history, so I do feel honoured that I get to pass on some stories through this channel, through the modern way of storytelling, which is the internet. I get a little in my head sometimes about whether people prefer the music stuff or prefer the Irish stuff, because sometimes it might seem like I'm posting kind of a mismatch of everything. If something about Ireland does well in terms of numbers, then my brain kind of thinks, oh, they want that and they don't want music. I start to worry that people don't want music content from me anymore, and vice versa too. My recent uploads have been posting a video of Oasis live, and then I did a Dodie cover song, and then I did an a cappella choir thing that I don't normally do, and now I'm making a video about Irish vampires and Banshee. I'm trying to be less overthinky about all this stuff and just make what I want to make when and as I feel inspired to, and hopefully people are happy to watch anything. Or, you know, if you just prefer one thing, that is fine too. Or neither. If you don't like anything I post, that's fine too. But if people are happy to watch both, it's good to know, and that makes me happy, of course. The internet and the algorithm wants to put you in a specific box. If you go viral for one thing, or if you brand yourself as one thing, people only then want you for more of that thing, and you end up chasing numbers that you can't always live up to. And while the numbers could grow quicker for me if I did that, if I just picked one specific thing, I honestly don't know if I'd last very long if I was confined to one content box. Anyway, those are my thoughts lately. Basically, I'm just saying that I want to keep making what I feel like making, and I hope people are liking it, that's all. And trying to stress less about numbers and just enjoy the process of everything. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments which of the 5 creatures on this list that freaked you out the most, scared you the most, or just gave you the ick, maybe more so than the others. We had the Banshee, the Puka, the Akishka, the Dullahan, and the Aurtuck. I would be so curious to know which one creeped you out the most, or which one was your favourite. Let me know. And have you ever had an experience that you can't explain? Maybe this video triggered a memory for you too. Leave it in the comments if you feel comfortable enough to. If you enjoyed this video, it would help me out massively if you could like and subscribe and drop a comment as well if you can. If you watched this far, that means you probably enjoyed the video. So if you could do those things, that would literally mean the world. There are also some links in the description if you would like to support me further. Of course, you don't have to, not required or expected, but for anyone who wants to. I have a Patreon community, I have a YouTube membership community, and I post behind the scenes content, little updates here and there. Typically, whenever the next video is coming out, I like to do a little behind the scenes for members just to be like, hey, this is what's coming, hope you're excited about it, and lots of other little sneak peek things as well. I also do a monthly private live stream as well where we get to chat, and it's very chill and it's usually very quiet, so I can read all the comments and answer all the questions. I also have a merch store with lots of music and Irish inspired designs. I will also leave that linked below as well. And I also have a gaming channel that I post on regularly too. It's called Folklore. And right now, throughout the month of October, I had been posting a playthrough of a Harry Potter game that I used to own on Game Boy Advance, and I've just been playing through that game and releasing the episodes, and it's been so fun. It's very nostalgic and I'm enjoying it. I've been doing the voices, all the Harry Potter characters, and it's letting me let out my goofy side quite a bit, so I'm having a good time over there.
Heading for the cellar? Better watch your step. I hear there are rats down there.
Oh, this guy's definitely...
I wouldn't go down there if I were you. Are you sure you want to go down to the cellar?
Check out the series if you haven't already. It may be finished by the time you watch this. I'm not sure yet. There could be 1 or 2 episodes left to go, but yeah, it's all over there as well if you'd like to. I also did a cover recently of Dodie's new song, Darling Angel Baby, written about her cat. So check that out here as well if you want to. It sounds like this.
Darling angel baby, missus.
I don't think I'll have it done yet by the time you see this, but I'm also working on a rewrite of it because I want to make my own lyrics that more suit my dog. So I've been working on that too. So stay tuned. That's coming very, very soon. Thank you so much again for watching. I really appreciate all your support and your engagement and just your enjoying of the content. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Happy Halloween. Have a fun night. Be safe. And I will see you very soon again in the next one. Bye.